Last year's Hisense U7SG was one of the brightest TVs ever at its price point. And while brightness is pretty much a solved issue on TVs these days, there's a major change to this year's U7SG that makes it an even better option for bright rooms. Not counting the Canvas TV, this is the first standard issue Hisense TV to come with a matte coating. While it comes at a slight premium over last year's model, the U7SG may be the best value option for bright rooms on the market this year. Our coverage of this season's new TVs continues, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. The Hisense U7SG is a mid-range mini LED TV with full array local dimming. It has 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, a 165Hz max refresh rate at 4K, or 330Hz at 1080p. It supports both Dolby Vision and HDR10+, as well as all major audio formats, including DTS. The version we bought comes with Google TV, but if you prefer the Fire TV OS, you can get the U7SF instead. The 65-inch version we tested comes with a center stand with 2 different height options, but the largest sizes come with 2 feet instead. The U7SG is available in a wide range of sizes, from a 55-inch model that goes for $1299 to a behemoth 116-inch model that'll run you about $20K. But is it worth it? Well, the U7SG is a great TV overall, and what makes it stand out is the new anti-glare coating. It's currently the only cheaper alternative for anyone who wants a matte coating without paying Samsung's prices. Hisense is clearly taking a page out of Samsung's book here, but the matte coating makes a big difference if you have any direct light sources in your room. On top of that, better contrast, vibrant colors, and a wide selection of gaming features make it a very well-rounded TV and a notable upgrade from last year. That said, it's expensive for a mid-range model, sitting at a slight premium over last year's U7SG. Unless you get it on sale, then the U7SG is a much better value proposition. Let's talk about the biggest change, shall we? The new matte coating works very well for its intended purpose. It's not quite as effective as Samsung's anti-glare coating, but it does a great job of reducing direct reflections. Indirect reflections are also significantly reduced, and the total amount of reflected light is low. So, if you have a bright living room and you like to watch TV during the day, your viewing experience will hardly be affected. Plus, since this is an LCD TV, black levels and colors are barely impacted by ambient light. In a brightly lit living room during the day, there's some minor black level rays, but it's minimal. The TV is also more than bright enough to stay visible in very bright rooms. We measured lower peak brightness than the U7SG in both real scenes and in our test patterns. But it's still incredibly bright, hitting over 2,500 nits in a 10% window. In HDR, it's a similar story. Not quite as bright as last year's U7 in most test slides, but it measures very similarly in real scenes. If you enable dynamic tone mapping, the image looks a bit brighter in some scenes, but it doesn't really change the TV's overall peak brightness. One area we did see some notable improvement is contrast. The panel's native contrast is high enough to deliver deep blacks in most content, but the local dimming takes it to another level. The 65-inch model has 960 dimming zones, and overall, the local dimming works very well. There's some minor haloing around subtitles or other oddly shaped bright spots, but it isn't too noticeable. Transitions between zones are also good, with very little glow trail, but there is a bit of noticeable flicker as bright highlights move between zones. Overall, you'll get great image quality in both bright and dark rooms, as well as an excellent HDR experience with punchy highlights and deep blacks. PQ EOTF Tracking is also great. Shadow detail in near black scenes is very slightly raised, but overall it hugs the curve very closely across different luminance levels. In game mode, shadows are a bit dimmer than they should be, but otherwise the tracking is still very close to target overall. Gradient handling is okay in HDR, but we did notice more banding in darker shades. There's also an odd banding artifact in darker green shades. It is much more visible on camera than in person though, so it shouldn't be noticeable when you're watching regular content. Colors look great on this TV. It has a near full coverage of the DCI-P3 color space in SDR, and only the reds are a little bit undersaturated. It also has decent coverage of the wider BT 2020 color space, though it does struggle to display the full range of greens and blues. In HDR, meanwhile, colors are bright and vibrant, and darker colors look saturated. The TV covers about 83% of the DCI-P3 color space at 1,000 nits, which is solid. SDR colors are very accurate out of the box. Most colors are true to life, though blues and reds can look a little bit oversaturated. White balance is also mostly spot on. But the gamma is pretty off, with a 2.2 gamma setting tracking closer to 2.4, meaning most scenes are a little bit darker than they should be. After we fully calibrated the TV, though, we did get it pretty near perfect. Color temperature, colors, white balance, and gamma all improved with no noticeable issues. In HDR, pre-calibration accuracy is a little less impressive. Colors and white balance are decent, though darker shades are pretty off the mark. And color temperature is way off on the colder side, causing a noticeable blue tint. With calibration, however, we were able to improve the accuracy significantly. There are still some luminance mapping errors, but most of the issues are fixed, including the color temperature. The U7SG uses a VA panel, so its viewing angle is mediocre. Colors quickly fade and start to look washed out as you move off angle. The U7SG has some other flaws too. Though it has faster initial response times than last year's U7, it struggles to complete pixel transitions, resulting in noticeably blurry motion. In game mode, its responsiveness is also underwhelming. At 165 Hz, it's notably better than the U7 5QG, but it does struggle to come out of dark shades, resulting in some smearing. Unfortunately, turning on VRR when handshaked at 165 Hz results in a lot of overshoot. It also causes an odd issue where there's noticeable flicker when the frames drop to 120 or 60 Hz. On top of that, there are noticeable transition artifacts. That includes some color ghosting that can be distracting, and edge artifacts that can lead to blur trails with faster moving objects. Finally, the processing has gotten slightly better over the last year's model, with better detail preservation in low bitrate content and sharper low-resolution upscaling. Overall, the Hisense U7SG is a pretty unique TV in 2026, bringing matte down into the mid-range. If you can get it on sale, it is one of the best value TVs on the market right now, especially for brighter rooms. But are there other options worth considering? Well, we can say that it's a step up from last year's U7 5QG, despite not hitting quite as high peak brightness. The anti-glare coating really improves its reflection handling, and it has better contrast. Otherwise, they do perform quite similarly across the board. So if you're on an even tighter budget, consider getting a U7 series from last year while they're still on sale. The U7SG is also a better deal than the competing Samsung QN80H, getting significantly brighter in both SDR and HDR, and delivering deeper blacks and better local dimming. All that for slightly cheaper too. Finally, we can't say yet how it stacks up against the TCL QM7L, but our review of that model is in the pipeline, so stay tuned. Until then, thanks for watching!